Now let's see an important question. Let's imagine that I have a set with some vectors in it, and I want to make that set, I want to convert it into a basis. For example, with just two vectors. But notice, these two vectors, which by the way are independent from each other, these two vectors live in R3, in three-dimensional space, which means that if I want to make this set into a basis, I need a third vector into it. I need to add something to it here. What is this thing that I need to add here? Well, it must be a vector which is independent from the other two. Because if I can do that, I have three independent vectors, all living in R3, and of course, if they are independent and they live in R3, they must span the entire R3. So how do we turn this set into a basis of R3? Well, the solution is quite easy. I put these vectors as columns of a matrix, and then I'm going to use the elimination steps to simplify this matrix as much as possible. So here it is. I'm going to focus on the pivots again. Use the pivots. The first one is always here. And I'm going to eliminate this entry here. How? By subtracting the second equation from the second equation, the first equation. So I get the 0 minus 1, so 0 minus 1, and b minus a. Then I'm going to flip these two equations because I want a 1 here, not minus 1. So I get here the third, the old third equation is here, and the old second equation now is the last one. And finally, I'm going to use the second pivot to eliminate. How? I'm going to add to the last equation the second equation. As a result, this becomes 0, and I have b minus a minus c here. I simplified as much as possible. And now the question is, looking at the simplified system, how do I make this third column vector an independent vector from the other two? Well, one way of doing it is by choosing, for example, b is equal to 1 and a is equal to c is equal to 0. If I do that, I have a 1 here. And now I have three pivots, 1, 2, and the third one. Meaning I have three independent columns. In conclusion, the vector that was missing here is a vector ABC, where a is equal to 0, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to 0. That's the answer. At least that's one of the possible answers. Of course, when I reach this point, I have different possible choices for a, b, and c. The only criteria is that I have a pivot downstairs. That's all. This is the easiest choice. Make everything, almost everything 0 except what's really needed to be not 0, meaning the b.